So, welcome back, everyone. This is part five, the final part in this Triad series. And if you've joined me for all of the parts so far, one through four, you know that there is the PDF below. I put it in the description of all of the videos, even though you only have to download it once and it has all of the parts, but I put all of the chord patterns and the fretboard diagrams and all of that in one single PDF, which is in the description of this below. And you can get it for free. You can download it and you can get it in any part, any of this video series, this Triad series, and it will have the slides, the patterns, the diagrams for all five parts. Okay, you don't have to download it for each video. All right, so part five is going to be, if you've joined me for part one, you know that there's the D, A, and F patterns. That's what we were talking about in the Triad series. So in the F pattern is the third pattern, the last pattern. We've already gone over D and A if you've stuck with me so far. So the F pattern, we're going to use it in D, the key of D, but it's down here on the 10th fret. So as you can see here, and in the F pattern, the root note on the third, which is on the first string now, is also on the fourth string. So it gets doubled if you're playing a three-note chord and the root is on the first string, which it is for the major chord in this pattern. So again, they call this, as you know, probably from part one of the series, they call this the F pattern because the bottom of this chord is like a major bar chord on the sixth string. So if you play it on the first fret, the very first position where you can bar that chord, it's an F. So that's why they call it the F pattern. Now let's get right into it. And this one is a lot more functional, a lot more useful than the A pattern. The D pattern, as you know, had a lot of chords in it. The F pattern is the same. There's a very large amount of chords that we can get to from this position. It's very accessible. So let's get into the first one now. So let's start with the major add 9. This is only one note change. So the major add 9 is a 4-note chord. That's why we're only changing one of the root notes. We still have the root note on the 4th string. So we move only the first string, slide the 10th fret up to the 12th fret. You can't use the index finger anymore. So what I would do is I use my pinky on the first string, first index finger on the second string, my middle finger, second finger on the third string, and my third finger on the fourth string. So it sounds like this. So that's a really nice resolve chord, right? It sounds like it resolves back to the major chord, right? You can put your pinky on and then bar the 10th fret again and take it off. So it sounds like it's a really pretty chord. Final pattern looks like this. So again, pinky is on the first string, first, second, and third fingers on the second, third, and fourth string. Next, let's have a look at the major seventh chord. So major seven is again just one note difference, and again, same as the major add 9, you're just moving one of the root notes to make it a 4-note chord. So for this pattern, we're just going to slide the fourth string from the 12th fret down to the 11th fret. So it looks like two double stops together. Final pattern looks like this. And the way I would do this one is just bar the 10th fret with your first finger, the second and first strings, and then just bring your third finger on the third string and your second finger on the fourth string like this. A little different sounding chord, huh? Not a chord that I use too much, but hey, always want to have all the tools in your toolbox, right? And then following that chord, because this is also a strange or a more dark, I guess you could use that word, a darker sounding chord, like a more ominous or spooky kind of sounding chord, is diminished. And we've done this in the A pattern, right? We went over the diminished chord, but here it's going to be sliding the second string and the third string down one fret. So this is what it looks like sliding down. And the final pattern, it has three notes again, right? So whenever the chord has three notes and we're using four strings, one of the notes gets doubled. So you can play it as two different triads if you want, two different ways. So just to show you both ways, I would use my first finger on the 9th fret of the second string here, second finger on the third string, 10th fret, and my pinky on the 12th fret of the fourth string. Sounds like this. Ooh. like a creepy chord. And then if you do it on the bottom 3 strings, just the bottom of that triad, because you can play again, you could play all 4 strings if you want to. It would be a little tough to finger, but you could do it. So bottom of it looks like a D7 chord actually if you slide it all the way down to the open position. So it goes. And then if you played all 4, I would keep this pattern, this position that we have right here with my third finger on the first string, my first finger on the second string, and my second finger on the third string. And then you would bring your pinky up to the 12th fret on the fourth string. It can be a little hard to reach, especially if you slid down the guitar, it would be very hard. Like that. Remember again, the root note is on the first string for most of these. Some of it's on the fourth or it's on both. And you can move anywhere that you're using the root note. Okay, wherever you move the root note, up, down, whatever the root note is, where your finger is, that yellow note, the yellow dot, that's going to be what the note is. All right, so that's going to be what the chord is. And you can slide that anywhere, remember. So now let's get to the suspended chords. We love these chords. Suspended second, you're just going to slide the third string finger on the 11th fret down to the 9th fret. And full chord looks like this. And again, this is only 3-note chords. So bottom part of the chord, if you were going to play it on the first 3 strings, would look like this. So I put my first finger on the 9th fret of the third string, second finger on the 10th fret of the second string, and third finger on the 10th fret of the first string, like this. And then again, that has the top portion too, right? You can play it as a triad either on the bottom 3 strings or on the fourth, third, and second string. So the way I would do that is I would keep my fingers the same here. So I would put my first finger on 9th fret of third string, second finger on 10th fret of second string, and pinky on 12th fret of fourth string, like this. And if you wanted to play them all together, that would be, again, a little tough, but I would just bring my third finger, keeping the pattern, this position, I would just bring my third finger down to the 10th fret on the first string, and you could play all four notes. Again, it might be a little difficult with the finger stretching, but you could do it. That's something that we don't talk about a lot, but beginning playing, it's really important, stretching your fingers. So don't neglect that. It's something that we should all do. Our wrists, our fingers, our hands, at least take like 10 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day to stretch. Do some stretches for your hands, some movements. And I'll make a video on how to do that, but it's really, really important to increase your flexibility and dexterity in your fingers. And also it's keep your wrist healthy, playing all the time. So let's come to the suspended fourth now. And for that, you're just going to slide the third string up 1 fret. So you're going to bring the third string on the 11th fret up to the 12th fret. Again, the suspended fourth is a 3-note chord triad. So we can play 2 different triads on the bottom 3 strings or the fourth, third, and second string. So bottom 3 strings, I would just bar the 10th fret on the second and first strings with my index finger, and then bring your third finger up onto the 12th fret here. So. And for the top, it's just almost reverse. So you just bring your first finger on the second string 10th fret and bring your pinky on the third string 12th fret, third finger on the 12th fret, fourth string. And then to do that whole chord, you would just bar the second and first string on the 10th fret like this. One of my favorite chord types, the dominant 7th. So you're just going to slide the fourth string, the root on the fourth string on 12th fret, down to the 10th fret. This is a 4-note chord, so you can only play it the one way with all four notes. Looks like this. And this one, easier way to play it is just bar the whole 10th fret from the fourth string down to the first string with your first finger, and bring your second finger on the third string 11th fret. Sounds like this. Another way to play that, if you find that difficult, you could always bar the bottom of the 10th fret on the first and second string, and then bring your second finger on the 10th fret, fourth string, third finger on the 11th fret, third string. It's another way to finger it. Another way you can do it is you can actually, if you wanted to use single fingers, you could bring your first finger on the 10th fret, fourth string, pinky on the 11th fret, third string, your second finger on the second string, 10th fret, and your third finger on the first string 10th fret. So there's always a lot of different ways you can finger the chords, do what works for you, find the way that feels right for you. Also try to keep in mind the way that is easiest for you to adjust and slide and change chords if you're going to be going to other chords, changing to other chords. And an example of that is like an open G chord, right? There's a couple different ways to finger that. It really depends on what you're doing with it, where you're going from there. And it depends. Sometimes I use one fingering, sometimes I use another. So always keeping that in mind too, where you're going from there. Now let's come to the minor chord. So we're just going to slide the third string down 1 fret, easy. This is again a 3-note chord, so we have 2 different triads that you can do from this chord. So the bottom string is going to be a nice easy one, just barring the third, second, and first string on the 10th fret like this. Again, remember the yellow note is the root, so you can slide. This is a D. If you slide down 2 frets to the 8th fret, that's a C, right? You slide down 1 more fret, that's a B. If you slide down to the 5th fret, that's an A. Because the A on the first string is the root note, right? So that's what makes the chord. Again, you can do the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string as well. And for that, I would just keep the 10th fret barred, right? It's easy to bar that fret, it's easy to bar that fret, those strings, and then just bring your third finger up to the 12th fret on the 4th string. So, and then if you're playing all of them, I would just bar all 3 first strings on the 10th fret and then put my third finger still on the 12th fret, 4th string. Now the minor 7th, another easy one, right? So you pretty much just slide both the notes on the 3rd and 4th string for the major chord down to the 10th fret. So it's same as the minor at the bottom of the minor chord, except you're also barring the 4th string like this. Nice chord, huh? Here's the pattern in case you want to just see it as the chord. Nice easy chord. You can slide it down any fret, right? And then you have the chord there. So remember these patterns. I have these cutouts of the fretboard just all listed in the chord diagrams in the PDF in the description. So if you get that, it has them all listed right on the same page. So you could just go through them and play with them. And the last chord for this part is the minor add 9. So you're just going to move the 3rd string and 1st string. The 3rd string note comes from the 11th fret to the 10th fret, slides down, but the 1st string note slides up 2 frets. Again, it's a 4-note chord, so we take one of the roots out. Now, for this one, the way I find easiest to play it is just to bar the 3rd and 2nd strings on the 10th fret with my index finger, and then I bring my 3rd finger on the 12th fret 4th string and my pinky on the 12th fret 1st string. So if you come from that to a minor chord, it's really nice. From a minor add 9 to a minor. Just take your pinky off and you'll have the 10th fret barred still. So nice resolution sounding. And that's all the chords. So pretty lot in that position, which is really nice. And don't forget, remember, there's the PDF down there. If you have any questions, anything you want to see, whatever you want to see next about theory, I'm probably going to do a video on the circle of fifths next and a little series on that, like a 3-part series on the circle of fifths, and just explaining what it is and how to use it. It can be a really helpful tool for songwriting, just like this stuff. Everything is just a tool in our toolbox. And a lot of times for me, this stuff stimulates creativity, right? So in other words, playing with the blues patterns and the triads, I wrote 2 songs. When I was going through these chords for you, I wrote a few songs, a few little licks. So Circle of Fifths, playing with that, I write a ton of stuff because it has so much stuff to play with, so much different inspiration and ideas come out of that. So, use this stuff to play around to come up with something fresh and new. Sometimes it helps to get out of your box a little bit if you're used to playing like blues all the time, which is great. But if you like play some reggae or learn like a reggae song, it gives you a little bit of change up the rhythm a little bit, because there's so many different ways. You can do it with chords, right? You can stimulate your creativity with chords, or you can do it with so many different things. It's unlimited the ways, but a melody, right? You can listen to a different kinds of melodies than you're used to and get an idea with that, or change up the rhythm and timing, which would be like reggae, right? Is a different timing, a different rhythm, a different feel. And getting a little bit of that mixed in with your style gives you a little more inspiration, change it up a little bit. Because sometimes you can get stuck in the rut of like the same like four, beats, like nice solid one, 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 and it gets like boring. So you want to change it up, get fresh new ideas. Maybe we'll make a video on that, different things that you can use to keep your creativity inspired and fresh. So I'll share some things that I do anyway to write music. So until next time, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this 5-part series. And until next time, take care. Happy practicing.